Okay. Hi, Tori. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Sarah?
I'm doing very good. So the last time we met, we did the 24-hour recall, and with the 24-hour recall, I just pretty much went through what you ate during the day, and what I did is I took it back and I put it through what is called Super Tracker, and all it does is just takes what you ate during that day and shows you the nutrients that you ate and the different caloric levels and stuff like that. So we just got basic information. So what am I going to do today is pretty much go over what I got back from the Super Tracker, the nutrient report. And yes, this session shouldn't take too long. It should take maybe about 15 minutes.
Okay.
And we're just going to go through different aspects of what you ate. So here was the list that I got. And just a quick question, so I know this is like a typical day for you, or is this one of your better days, one of your not so good days, or is this like average?
It was It started off as good, but it was Friday,
Okay.
and that's where I kind of messed up with the Jack in the Box that I had
Okay.
at like 12 a.m. But in the beginning, I felt pretty okay.
Okay.
So yeah.
So it was maybe an average day, but then it didn't turn out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I started off strong, then I was like,
Okay.
it's Friday, I want to eat what I want.
Yeah. So pretty much how you start off in the morning is how you tend to eat. Usually that's what you aim to eat like.
Yeah.
Good. Just for me to get a better idea of that. So let me just mention all the things that I feel like you did very well.
Okay.
Looking at your analysis, I've seen that you had very high dietary fiber, which is really good. A lot of health benefits with eating fiber, lowers cholesterol. It helps with your digestion and things of that matter.
What kind of foods have fiber in it, like that I ate?
It doesn't say that on this list, but looking at this, things that are high in fiber would be anything like with your greens or anything. So you had lettuce that probably has some fiber in it. You had strawberries, oranges.
Okay.
A lot of your fruits and vegetables would be higher in fiber.
Okay.
And then also you had wheat bread and stuff like that. Whole grain bread. Grains have fiber and, stuff like that. So those are good sources. Another good thing is you didn't go over your added sugars, which is really common for people who live in this society because there's so much sugar everywhere. So I thought that was really good. You had adequate levels of your essential fatty acids, so like your omega-3s and omega-6s, which are really good for you as well. Also, you stayed within your limits for like protein and carbohydrates, so you met like your caloric need for those things. You weren't too deficient.
I usually think that I like go over with my carbs.
Oh no. You stayed within the actual recommended range, so which is like really good. But looking at your nutrient report, I saw some things that could be bettered in your diet and some things that are a little bit concerning to me. So I came up with this circle chart with 4 different things that I thought may be a good place to start. But then I also wrote any subject that you're interested in. So if there's anything here that you're not really interested in talking about, that's fine, but you can pick from what I suggested. This is where
I'm
you want to
interested in talking about all of them.
Okay.
Definitely, let's talk about increasing vitamin D, because I don't really know what that is or where to get the source, like what kind of food has vitamin D in it.
Okay. And is that like that's like the main one that you want to talk about?
I mean, I know that I need more vegetables. I definitely feel that way. I have to pick one.
Yeah, it's best to pick one so we can just fully dissect it.
Okay.
And we can go through it. So whichever one is the most interesting to you. Or you have the most questions about?
I think that I should focus on sodium.
Sodium.
Okay. It's hard.
Decreasing sodium. And just for me to get a better idea, why did you pick decreasing sodium?
Because I believe, or I know that high blood pressure runs in my family due to like unhealthy eating habits, and I want to like break that cycle and find ways to avoid using as much salt and like really watching my salt intake. because I know that it also keeps you bloated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have this thing. It's called the MI scale. It's pretty much I want you to rate how important is it for you to want to decrease your sodium levels. 0 meaning it's not important to you, and then 10 meaning it's extremely important to you.
A 7.
A 7, okay. And why did you pick 7?
Because, like I said, I'm really concerned about my health, and like the more and more I do research, I learn that we say that things are genetic or it's hereditary, especially like for Black people, our eating is very bad just due to not having certain resources. But I'm in a position of having better resources,
right?
So I want to make sure that I'm using them, and I know that salt tends to be a huge issue in our community, and I want to learn ways to avoid that.
Okay. Is there any reason why it wasn't an 8 for you?
Because I like salt.
Salt, yeah, you like salt brings a lot of flavors to food.
Yeah, it's the seasoning. I cook with a lot of seasoning, but I've been trying to buy things that don't have salt in it. So.
Okay. Well, I from what my understanding is that you want to decrease sodium because obviously you have like the family and the genetic component being African American. We do have a higher susceptibility to high blood pressure and things like that. So you want to decrease sodium intake, but then it's also good for flavorings of food. So just to give you a little background about sodium, I know sodium sometimes is demonized, but sodium does serve vital functions in the body. Okay. It's good for your electrolyte balance, which is vital in just carrying out mechanisms for the cell. Okay. I don't want to get into too much detail of it, but it's needed by the body. You cannot survive without sodium. Okay. But the downside of salt is that it can increase your chances of heart disease, which you've mentioned to me. Increases the propensity of blood pressure and blood volume because it just takes up so much room in your blood. And with the prolonged use of so much sodium in your diet, it does lead to sometimes lowered kidney function and sometimes kidney failure. So those are some of the things that you have to look out for when dealing with salt. So do you have any ideas of how you would maybe decrease your
salt
intake? Yeah.
I definitely, it's just like the seasonings that I use, I think can make a difference. And then also continuing to cook at home. So I can visually see what I'm putting in my food. Sometimes when you go out and buy food, you don't know what they put in your food at all, and the different things. I definitely just want to have like more hands-on with my food and really pay more attention to what I'm putting.
So definitely having more control over your food and just knowing that okay, this is what's in my food is very important to you.
Yes.
That's a really, really good thing, and I'm glad that you brought that up because looking at your 24-hour recall, most of the foods that you prepared were relatively healthy, and for the most part, you had great servings of fruit, you had bell pepper, you didn't have a lot of added things in it, and like how you mentioned earlier, eating, making your own food and not eating out is a vital thing because the only place where the added salt was an issue was when you went to the Jack in the Box.
Right.
But that's a good thing because it shows that it's not just your own personal cooking habits. It's just the fact that when you eat out, and that's just the case for many fast food places, that they just hawk up things in salt. So with that, do you think that you can formulate or are you ready to maybe formulate a plan to kind of decrease sodium? Is that something that you may be interested in?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any ideas to start off, maybe?
Definitely. I want to buy more seasonings that don't have salt in it. Like for instance, I have Mrs. Dash and none of those seasonings have salt added in it, and I like that. Also, I heard that using pink Himalayan salt isn't as bad for you. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but one of the trainers at the well was telling me that instead of avoiding using white salt, try Himalayan salt. I just have to buy it But all of these things are super expensive as well.
Okay.
So just making sure that I can, afford those things.
Okay, so you want something that is obviously going to be good for your health, but then still, not too much of a burden on your.
But definitely, like the money that I spend on fast food can go towards those things. So it's definitely possible.
So how about we start off with what are your favorite foods?
I love pasta.
Pasta.
I love carbs.
Okay. So how do you usually season your pasta?
Oh, like with the I
Like
don't
what
really
kind?
season the noodles, but the sauce. Like if I'm making spaghetti, I normally just buy it in a can. I don't make it from scratch.
Right.
But it's still bland in the can, so I add my own seasonings.
Okay.
And I use Lori seasoning salt, which is full of salt.
Yeah.
But it makes it pop. But I also season it with natural veggies too. Like I add mushrooms, bell peppers, onions, all that in it as well. I definitely think that like bell peppers and onions are like my main seasonings. Those are essential. I cook with those. But definitely the Lori seasoning salt is like it's my little.
Yeah. That adds. So how would you feel about maybe not having the Lori seasonings? Did I say that right?
Lori's. I don't know how to say it.
Lori's. Yeah. We'll just call it that.
Okay.
Lori's seasoning salt as
like the base.
Yeah, like removing that and maybe put it in exchange for something else.
Definitely, I can see myself buying something healthier instead of it. And I know there's things that you can buy. I just have to go look for them.
Right. So just to put out an idea, if you don't mind, maybe when you're looking for the sauces, because I know it's very hard to find things that are low in sodium, but try to aim for the products that say low sodium, reduced sodium, things like that matter, just so you can just reduce the amount, or you can just look into getting something with no sodium in it and then seasoning it to your palatable pleasure.
Okay.
So that's another option.
To cut out.
Okay. So when you make your next pasta dish, what about? Are you okay with cutting out the Lori's seasoning salt?
Yes.
Okay.
So and instead I can replace that with adding even more veggies to it, like onion and bell pepper. It will definitely make a difference.
Okay. That's great. Great ideas. Bell pepper, just adding more vegetables to add that natural flavor, and then also maybe herbs as well, like herb seasonings.
I have some. I have this onion and herb seasoning that doesn't have any salt in it.
Perfect. So I think you can take these attributes with you. So for when you're making your favorite dish, to maybe you can add more flavors with veggies, onions, bell peppers, like you said. Is there any other things that you're concerned about pertaining to sodium, or any other questions that you may have?
I know that water intake also helps regulate that. Is that true?
Yes. Yes, it does.
So I think I don't think I know that I need to also increase my water intake by a lot.
Yeah.
To help flush everything out.
Yeah, it helps. It just helps keep that balance. So your blood is not so saturated with the salt. So you tend to excrete, excess salt and stuff out of your.
Yeah, I need some water right now. I feel it. My body's telling me.
So to get this all together, you want to decrease salt in your diet. You're doing it because the genetic propensity, and just to avoid any heart health issues that you may have in the future. And you plan on decreasing your sodium by cutting out the low salt, to be specific, when making your favorite dish, such as pasta. And you're going to substitute that by adding more vegetables, bell peppers, and other things to flavor your meal. And also adding more vegetables would, help you with your vitamins and stuff. So it just has a really good health benefit. So did I get that all together?
You did an excellent job.
Okay, so is the plan clear to you?
Totally.
Okay.
It is.
And do you know when you want to maybe start this plan or implement it?
Definitely next week because I'm not cooking at all this week.
Okay, next week? Perfect.
Yeah, next week is definitely my week to get back on track. I'm in midterm week right now.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
Totally understand. So good. Next week we'll try and start cutting out our sodium and just increasing vegetables and herbs to flavor our food. Okay. Is that all your questions? Any other questions?
No, that's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.